Hey guys, welcome back for more Elegies. So come on, let's go back to our story. We are at home now, yes. As usual, dinner at my new house is pretty subdued affair. Shortly after I wake up, Aunt Claire emerges with bags under her eyes and paint under her nails. From the unfinished basement room she's been using as an art studio and throws a frozen pizza in the oven. We eat it on the living room couch because we don't have a dining room table yet. Both of us only half paying attention to old sitcom reruns playing in front of us in the TV. Once our simple white plates are empty of everything except crumbs, Aunt Claire hits the off button on the remote and turns to face me as an expression of solemnity and concern in her tired eyes.
So, you doing okay, kid?
Huh? I'm fine.
It's an honest answer. I'm really doing alright for the circumstances.
It's just...
My aunt shifts her sitting position a few times, her eyes darting back and forth between mine and the blank screen of the silent television.
Look, I'm not gonna tell you what to do.
What, she may be thinking that Zack is crazy? Because he's talking to someone?
I don't want to come into your life after 16 years. After everything that happened to you.
Okay.
And start lecturing you about your choices or anything. And know that I'm not...
She sighs heavily. My eyebrows furrow as I attempt to anticipate what she's getting at.
I'm not your mom.
She swallows nervously, barely monitoring my reaction out of the corner of her eye.
And I'm not trying to be. And I'm totally fine with you taking time off school to relax and recover from everything. But I guess I'm just a little worried that you're not really doing much or getting out of the house at all.
What do you mean? I've got hobbies.
In fact, I have exactly two. Playing video games and looking up old newspaper articles on the internet. Maybe that doesn't count for much.
Well, what about friends? I know you talk to your online friends a lot, but don't you have friends from school or anything? You know you could invite people over any time if you want. Or I could give you a ride to hang out somewhere else if you need me to.
I don't know. I don't really feel like it.
I want you to have a normal life, you know? Be a normal kid. Go out and have fun with your friends. And I want to make sure you're not depressed.
I'm not depressed. I just don't feel like doing much is all.
You don't have to talk to me about how you're feeling if you don't want to, but even if you're really doing okay, it might help to talk to someone about what you went through and how your life is going.
I talk to my friends.
My one friend, singular, whom you just can't see.
I mean...
Claire sighs again before turning to make proper eye contact.
I mean a professional, Zack.
Shrink.
Like a therapist.
Therapist.
I don't need a therapist. I'm fine.
Zack, you've had some serious trauma, and I mean, even without that, it can be helpful to...
No!
When I imagine the prospect of sitting in a room with a stranger and answering questions about my parents, watching them take notes on exactly what they think is wrong with me, I just can't do it.
Okay. You don't have to if you're not comfortable. But if you ever think it would help, your doctor recommended a few people. And don't worry about the cost, okay? That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, okay. Maybe sometime. If I feel like it.
My aunt and I sit on the couch in a tense silence. I wish she would just turn the TV on again just for something to look at other than her concerned expression. The sparse furniture surrounding us or the cast that's still on my broken leg. But she doesn't. All I can hear her is her shaky breathing until she finally speaks again.
Hey, you know, there's gonna be a pretty cool craft fair in town the weekend after next.
A craft fair?
Her light and casual tone comes across affected and unnatural, but I know I should at least appreciate that she's trying.
Yeah. Lots of different local artisans selling stuff like handmade clothing and pottery and little wood sculptures. Stuff like that. Some of my friends are in it. They're going to be setting up stands all over Martin Street downtown. And there's food too. Why don't we go check it out? That'll be after you get your cast off, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So you'll be able to walk around a bit more, and we can say hi to my friends and maybe find some decorations to brighten this place up. What do you say, kid?
I shrug.
Sure.
Sure. Even though she's the one trying to cheer me up, I feel like I'm only agreeing to make her happy.
Great. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. She continues to sit there, still not turning on the TV on, but now with an awkward smile plastered on her face.
I'm going to go up to my room now, okay?
Okay.
Some of the tension in Aunt Claire's shoulder seems to release. I wonder if she's just as relieved as I am to have reached the end of this conversation.
There's some cheese and crackers in the kitchen if you need a snack later. Have a good night, kid.
Thanks.
That was intense. By the time I make it to the bedroom, I'm almost overwhelmingly tired. Both physical from the trip up the stairs and mentally from that whole serious talk I just had to endure. I am still listening to her audiobook, and the description of a faintly sinister small English town washes over me as I heave myself onto the bed and exhale in exhaustion.
What's wrong?
I strain to reach the phone and pause the audiobook before answering.
Aunt Claire thinks I'm depressed.
Are you?
Aya hovers over the bed and brings her knees up to her chest as if she is sitting beside me.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm happy when we hang out and play video games and stuff.
Me too.
And it's not like I'm sitting around crying about my dead parents all the time. I think I'm doing pretty okay. But she's worried that I don't have other friends and that I'd never go out anywhere. I just don't feel like doing that stuff. Does that make me depressed?
I don't know.
Me neither.
I rolled over onto my side, my good leg underneath me and the one with the cast stretched out on top.
She wants to take me to a craft fair after I get this cast off.
A craft fair?
Yeah. Local artists selling pottery and stuff.
That sounds fun.
You think so?
Yeah. Can I come too?
Of course you can.
Can we get some cool art to hang up on the walls?
Like what?
It's not a bad idea, honestly. Right now, the bare walls in this room reminds me a bit too much of the hospital.
Like, badass anime girls.
Aya. First of all, I'm not sure how many of the respected local artists with little stalls of homemade knickknacks at the city-sanctioned event will be selling posters of anime girls. Second of all, I'm not going to be that guy with his bedroom walls plastered with pictures of his waifu.
What's a waifu?
Never mind.
Anyway, it's not like anyone else comes in here. And if they did, who cares what they think? I want a poster! Of like one with a girl with blue hair and like power armor!
How about a tasteful portrait of a solidly non-anime girl with a normal natural hair color?
Maybe. But if they do have anime,
I'll consider it.
I while away the rest of the evening debating the finer points of hypothetical wall hangings. And by the time I am getting ready for bed, I realize I'm kind of looking forward to this craft fair after all. Are we going already? Or, I mean, Aunt Claire said it's the weekend next, right? I have to admit, once we get there, the craft fair actually looks pretty cool. Oh, we're actually here now. The whole street is shut down to make room for the artist stands, and some of them have all kinds of crazy looking stuff on display. All of it is colorful and unique and clearly crafted with love and passion. Groups of people are milling about everywhere. It must be the biggest crowd I've ever seen since before the fire. Not to mention...
Zack! Look at all the dogs!
that there are also lots of people walking really cute dogs. The sky is clear and everyone's got smiles on their faces. It's really a nice day.
Want to grab something to eat before we start looking around?
Sure.
Aunt Claire and I both overslept and ended up heading down here without breakfast because we wanted to make it before it got too crowded. Either we completely failed or it's going to be absolutely packed later in the day.
I hear this cafe is pretty good.
Hopefully it's pretty fast too.
The lines for all the cafes and fast food places on the street are spilling out on the sidewalk. Aunt Claire and I take a position at the end of one of them while Aya flits around between the different stands nearby. We gradually shift a bit closer to the entrance, and I watch as Aya crouches down next to a golden retriever, an expression of pure joy on her face. Hey Claire. There's... My aunt and I both turn our heads in the direction of the exuberant shout. We spot the proprietor of a pottery stand waving wildly.
Oh! That's Sylvie!
Sylvie?
I'd better run over and say hi. Mind holding our spot in line, kid?
Sure.
If it speeds up before I get back.
Aunt Claire hands me some cash from her pocket.
Grab me a latte and a banana muffin or something.
Latte and banana muffin.
Okay.
She runs off to talk to her friend, and I lean on my shiny new cane as I wait for the line to move. I can walk a little bit now with the padded boot I have in place of the cast. But the muscles in my bad leg are still really weak from how long they went unused. It gets sore and tiring quickly, and the doctor says I'll need a lot of physiotherapy. At least a cane is a way less of a hassle than crutches. And it looks a lot cooler too. If you don't look down and see my whole lower leg encased in what looks like some kind of astronaut's moon shoe. Anyway, I gaze down the street and see Claire and her friend in what looks like an extremely animated discussion about pottery. Nearby, Aya is gesturing just as dramatically in a much more one-sided conversation with a poodle. I wonder if the dog can actually see her. Aren't they supposed to be more sensitive to supernatural stuff than humans? Maybe I should see if I can convince Aunt Claire to get a dog. Although I guess I should wait until I'm well enough to take it for walks for longer than a few minutes. Order for Sloan. Oh, Sloan. Detective Sloan is here. From inside a propped open door of the cafe, I hear a young man call out a familiar name. I get a sinking feeling in my chest as the customer in question grabs her coffee and shoulders her way back out onto the street.
Zachary? Is that you?
She stops on the sidewalk next to me and I sigh deeply, willing the line to move faster so I can escape.
Detective.
I'm off duty right now, Zachary. You can just call me Tyrell.
Tyrell. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Also, who addresses people by their last name anymore? Especially when she's constantly presuming to be on a first name basis with me. True.
I'm glad to see you back on your feet, so to speak.
I'd be glad to see you walking away right now. Let's be polite. Yes, let's be polite.
Nice to see you too, Detective. Here for the craft fair?
Actually, this just happens to be my favorite cafe. I should have known it would be packed today, though.
Yeah, right. I'm sure it's just a big coincidence that she's here. She sips her coffee while still standing stubbornly next to me on the street. I look for Aunt Claire to save me, but she's focused on her friend's artwork and the line ahead of me isn't going anywhere. How long does it take these people to order a cup of coffee?
So you're living with your aunt now?
Yeah, she's right over there, actually.
I point in Claire's direction, hoping some supernatural sense that someone is talking about her will summon her over. No such good luck.
You're lucky you have a family to take care of you, Zachary.
After my father died, I bounced between different foster homes until I turned 18. It was a very difficult time in my life.
No, let's be good to her. Come on now. Ask what happened to the rest of her family.
There was no one else? What about your mother?
My mother? Well, that's a long story. Let's just say we didn't get along. Not like you and your parents, Zack. I understand you loved them very much.
Yeah, I miss them.
I still miss my father, too.
But it gets easier with time. If you ever need to talk to someone about it.
The detective holds out another business card toward me, just like the one she gave me in the hospital. And as it dangles from her fingers, I'm saved at last.
Hey, why are you bothering my kid?
Yes, Aunt Claire's here now. Aunt Claire must have finally noticed what was going on from over at her friend's stand. She strides over and snatches the business card for herself.
Oh, you must be Zachary's aunt.
Aunt Claire is angry. Look at her face.
He and I just happened to run into each other.
Yeah, I know who you are.
Claire tosses the business card away.
You're a creep, trying to take advantage of a grieving teenager. To get information for whatever little case you people are building down at the station. I bet you've got big plans for advancing your career off the backs of his parents' deaths, Detective.
She spits the final word with venom. I simply watch with my jaw hanging open.
Well, not while I'm around. You want to talk to my kid? You'll be talking to my lawyer first. Come on, Zack. Let's go get our coffee somewhere that isn't crawling with cops.
Aunt Claire places a hand on my back as she guides me away, leaving a stunned Detective Tyrell far behind us.
Wow, Aunt Claire.
The music changed suddenly. I whispered to her once we blended into the rest of the crowd at the craft fair.
That was kind of awesome. You sounded like a total badass.
Don't mention it, kid. I'm sorry I didn't notice that creep earlier. Besides, I was totally bluffing. The only lawyer I know is the one who's always yelling, "Objection!" in those games you like.
Oh, what's the name again? Ace Attorney? Yeah, I want to play that game.
Still, you sure scared off that detective. And
There was something else that caught my attention.
did you call me your kid back there?
Aunt Claire's fair face turns bright red.
Oh! I guess I did. I'm sorry if that was a little weird. I know I already told you I'm not trying to be your mom, but
It's okay. It was kind of nice.
oh, good. I'm glad.
She breaks into a grin.
Hey, I hear there's a guy drawing caricatures around the corner. Want to go get a family portrait done?
Sure.
I crane my neck to see where Aya ended up as Aunt Claire leads me further into the craft fair crowds. I can't quite see her. She's probably still down near the ground trying to pet a dog or something. Oh well. I'm sure she'll be able to find us again when she gets bored. She could just fly over everyone's head and look down or something.
Ooh, that stand's got chocolate.
Aunt Claire grabs my arm and we approach a stand decorated with beautiful candy sculptures. The artist is selling some pieces of chocolate carved into cute little shapes, and we buy a couple each to munch on our way to the caricature artist. They're such nice little pieces of art that I almost don't want to eat them. But then again, I still haven't had breakfast, so my hunger wins out in the end. Fortunately, they taste just as good as they look. I lick the last of the melting chocolate off my fingers as we wait in line to get our portraits done. A couple other groups are ahead of us, but the artist works quickly. It's not too long before we're taking our seats on a couple small wooden stools and posing for an eccentric looking guy with an easel. Aunt Claire smiles broadly and holds her fingers up in the bunny ears behind my head. Trying not to move my head too much, I shift my eyes around and take in the view in the rest of the area to pass the time. Hey, the stand just across the street is selling some nice posters that really do have a bit of an anime style. I'll have to bring Aya there once I find her and she can pick out her favorite one. The artist, who's wearing a t-shirt from one of the local colleges, seems to be putting the finishing touches on a new piece, depicting a young wizard in a flowing robe. Near her stand, a mother crouches down to wipe her crying child's ice cream covered face clean, and a teen couple hold hands as they stroll at a leisurely pace. A brightly colored sign advertising various flavors of ice cream catches my eye. That must be where the little kid got his. I wonder if Aunt Claire would let me get an ice cream, even though we just said chocolate. Maybe if I ask really nicely. The ice cream place is nestled in between a clothing store and what looks like some kind of boring health food restaurant. The crowd is thinner in that area. I notice a huge dumpster in a dingy looking alleyway beside the restaurant. Then I find myself doing a double take. There's someone in that alley, just standing there on his own, and something somehow strikes me as terribly off about him. I try to tell myself he's just a restaurant worker on a break, but he sure isn't dressed like one. In fact, he's wearing a suit and tie, and there's no way it's that fancy a restaurant. He isn't doing anything either. Not checking his phone or smoking a cigarette or anything else you might expect a guy chilling out by himself to be doing to kill time. He's just standing there. And while he's much too far away from me to make out the details of his face, I could swear that he's staring back in my direction. And the worst part is that somehow, even from this far away, I'm getting a creeping sense of having seen that guy somewhere before. And done. Maybe it's the Agent 47 guy that he saw near his house, right? I shake off my anxiety about the alleyway weirdo as I lean on my cane to get up and take a look at the drawing. There's nothing to worry about. He was just some guy standing around. Maybe he's selling drugs or something? Whatever. It's got nothing to do with me.
What do you think, kid? I say it's a pretty good likeness.
I can't help but chuckle as my aunt gestures toward the picture of the two of us. It's all cartoony and exaggerated, but the artist really did capture some recognizable details.
Looks great.
Yeah, I love it.
The artist rolls it up in a cardboard tube for us, and Aunt Claire tells him to keep the change as she hands him the money.
So, where to next?
Can we head back to where we started? That detective is probably gone by now, right? And there was some stuff I wanted to see over there.
Really, I want to find Aya. As silly as it may be to get all creeped out over some random shady looking guy, I happen to notice it does make me want to double check that she's okay.
Sure. I should introduce you to Sylvie. She'd love to meet you.
Rolled up, caricature in hand, Aunt Claire leads the way again. I follow along behind her, keeping my eye out for any glimpses of my ghostly friend. The crowd gets thicker as we approach the fair's more central areas, and it starts to become more difficult to find ways to weave in between everyone while still observing my surroundings. You'd think the fact that I'm obviously injured would inspire people to give me a wide berth, but no such luck. I bump into at least a couple of running children and one distracted dad on his cell phone. Even Aunt Claire gets a bit too far ahead of me at one point before noticing and doubling back. I guess the huge cardboard tube she's carrying is a little more effective at warding strangers off. In an emergency, maybe she could use it as a weapon. Scanning the crowd as we go, I finally catch a glimpse of a familiar flickering out of the corner of my eye. I stop and strain to find it again, the guy behind me grumbling when I put a halt to his progression down the street. There. She's off to the side by one of the shop's windows.
You go ahead, Aunt Claire. I think I see someone I recognize.
Okay. Meet you back near where we started?
Sounds good.
Before I finish talking, I'm already doing my best to weave in between several groups of loitering strangers and make my way to the sidewalk. It's just as busy over there with people lining up to the doors of the cafes and restaurants, just like when I ran into that detective earlier.
Excuse me. Sorry.
I shoulder past a few hungry customers and find myself right next to a pizza place, with some fancy Italian names scrawled across the window in stylized cursive. Aya is just floating there, facing inside.
Aya! There you are!
She doesn't reply at first. Thinking quickly to avoid getting some weird looks from the people in line nearby, I pull my phone out of my pocket and pretend to be talking to someone on the other end.
Hey, everything okay? Aya?
I don't know.
Do you want a slice of pizza? I guess you can't actually eat it, but maybe you could pretend.
No,
Aya still isn't looking at me. I turn toward the window of the pizza place and follow her gaze, trying to figure out what's distracting her so much. Inside, a man in white baker's uniform is loading a thin crust pizza into a huge wood-burning oven. I feel a sudden tightening in my chest as he opens the heavy door to reveal the leaping flames. And it occurs to me that something of the same anxiety appears to be reflected in the uncharacteristically rigid posture of my friend beside me.
I was just wandering around, and then I saw the flames.
She turns to look at me, her eyes wide and full of fear.
For just a second there, I think I remembered something. Zack?
My heart pounds in the tense silence as I wait for her to finish her explanation.
I think I was in a fire once too.
So they have kind of a connection now. She had an accident,
What about this one?
or maybe that's what happened to her. Maybe she burned. Late that night, I are huddled in front of the glow of my laptop screen, looking through more old newspaper articles. I explained to her about my search once we got home from the craft fair, and her sudden flashback at the sight of those flames made her eager to help. It's been going a lot faster now that I know we're looking for news about a fire specifically. And now that I'm not having Aya next to me means I can't get distracted just reading random stuff. Aya peers closely at the text in front of us.
No, I don't think so. Oh, I don't know. The pictures just don't look familiar.
Okay, how about...
I navigate to the next result in the search, bringing up a picture of the ruins of what was once a suburban house. The headline reads, "Neighbors shocked as Vohan street home succumbs to sudden blaze." Next to me, I hear a soft gasp from my ghostly friend.
What? Is this it?
Maybe... Give me a minute.
I nod and let my eyes wander the screen as I give Aya time to recover her thoughts. The article begins to fire that the horrified this peaceful neighborhood also claimed the lives of the homeowners Yusuf and Olivia Faraj. Firefighters who have arrived at the scene sadly report that they were too late to save them, as the flames had rapidly consumed the house's upper story, including the master bedroom. One survivor was rushed to Markham Hospital in critical condition. Mr. and Mrs. Faraj's 14-year-old daughter, Aya. I turn to look at her and find her face bearing a stunned expression that lets me know that she was reading along with me.
It's me.
Her voice is so weak that I can barely hear her.
Are you sure?
Dude, the name is the same. And 14 years old. I wish I could say something to comfort her, but I don't know what. I can imagine exactly how she feels. It's almost uncanny how similar the situation described in the article is to mine, yes. Just reading it brought up painful memories of seeing my own parents' bodies and desperately searching my burning home for some way to escape. And that's after all the time I've already had to process it. I've relived that night dozens of times, and while it's never easy, I've grown accustomed to it in some ways. I know what to expect and how to deal with it and calm myself down. Aya doesn't have that luxury. The full force of that horrible memory must be assaulting her now for the first time in years. And I don't even know what to say. I'm relieved when she finally answers my pitiful question.
Yes, I'm sure.
There's a quiet confidence to her whispered words as she continues her recollections of the past.
That house, it was mine. I remember that mailbox right there. In her neighbor's driveway. I used to draw with chalk there when I was a little kid. I remember the bright colors. My name is Aya Elizabeth Faraj.
Oh, she remembers now.
Elizabeth was the name of my mother's favorite aunt. And Aya means miracle. That's what my parents called me because they tried for so long to have a baby before my mother finally got pregnant with me. I was their miracle. Mom and Dad, Olivia and Yusuf. They died in the fire and
She sighs and shakes her head.
Oh, I don't remember anything else.
Looking for some way to help, I quickly scan the rest of the article.
Wow, this was almost 5 years ago. Were you drifting around the hospital for that long?
I must have been. I don't know. It all started to blur together after a while.
Poor Aya.
It doesn't say anything else about you. Just some quotes from your neighbors and the firefighters about how shocking it all was. Let me search for your name, though. Maybe there's something else.
Like an obituary.
Okay.
But typing Aya Faraj into the newspaper's search bar doesn't bring up any other articles. Just this one about the fire. Same with her parents' names. There's nothing else.
There isn't any other news about what happened to you.
Aya shrugs bitterly.
Well, that must have been it, right? I must have died in the hospital.
Wouldn't they at least put something in the obituary section for you then?
My parents were already dead. Maybe there was no one else who would have bothered to write one.
I guess so.
I bring up the article about the fire again, desperate for something. Any small detail that might bring my friend a bit more closure.
This says the house was on Vaughn Street, right?
Okay, Vaughn. Why is there an A there? Vohan? Vaughn.
Do you remember the exact address?
Aya closes her eyes, her mouth twisting into a pensive frown.
Vaughn Street. Vaughn Street. 33. I think it was 33 Vaughn Street.
Then let's go there tomorrow.
I quickly look up directions to the address.
See? It's not that far. I bet we could even take the bus. I guess they probably rebuilt a new house there. But maybe you'll be able to remember more if you look around your old neighborhood. Maybe you'll even recognize someone you know.
Aya gives me a slight smile.
Yeah, maybe.
I smile back, happy to have come up with a plan that might be somehow helpful.
Well, it's getting late. I guess I'd better go to sleep.
Okay.
I shut up the laptop and lean over to place it on the bedside table. Aya hovers away from the bed, giving me room to stretch out and get comfortable without the awkwardness of her bodies overlapping.
What are you going to do?
I feel a bit bad for Aya. Sometimes when I think about how she doesn't sleep, the long dark nights on her own must get lonely.
I think...
She pauses for a few moments as if to contemplate her
I
options.
think I'll just go out exploring. A few nights ago, I saw a really cute cat walking around outside. And sometimes there are raccoons. They're so funny and chubby.
Okay. Then I'll see you in the morning. We can go out to see your old place after breakfast.
Sounds good. Good night, Zack.
Aya slowly floats away toward my bedroom door.
Oh, and thank you.
No problem. Then at least we got something out of this episode, right? Very nice. And we went to the craft fair with Aunt Claire. Okay, so yeah, we'll end our episode there. So at least we got, as I said, a little bit, we got a small information about Aya now. Thank God, that was good. And also Zack saw something, right? Yeah, when he was in the craft fair, he said he saw the guy with a bald head, right? With a suit inside and everything. Maybe he's just imagining things. Maybe it's the same guy he saw from, what do you call this? That he said to Sloan Tyrell, right? That he saw a guy a couple days before the fire. Maybe it's the same guy. So we're gonna have to find out, honestly, like why is this person there? Maybe his parents are like making something good, right? And they killed them, or the guy killed them, who knows. So yeah, we'll just have to find out. We'll check out, what do you call this? Aya's house in the next episode, right? Zack said they will try to go there. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.